Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Verbal Shenanigans Podcast. Happy to have you with us. But first, I want to tell you about one of the sponsors we have here on the show. The NFL Draft is one of the most anticipated days of any football fan's calendar, and that also means fantasy football season is not too far behind. DynastySportsEmpire.com is going to change the way you play fantasy football. DSE offers fantasy football gamers of all skill levels an opportunity to draft and retain your well-maintained rosters and players for their entire NFL career. Highlighted with large rosters, high-scoring games, easy payouts, and an amazing online community, DSE has everything you would want in a challenging online experience. Please visit them online today at DynastySportsEmpire.com. That's DynastySportsEmpire.com. And check out all the amazing upcoming formats for this upcoming fantasy football season. Go check them out. We got a great episode for you today, so let's get to it.
Hey, this is Joe Bob Briggs, and this is Verbal Shenanigans.
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really. Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
Hello, everybody. Welcome on back to Verbal Shenanigans Podcast. Mike, you've moved locations. You're laying down. When you signed on the screen, I actually thought you were like injured, possibly. Like you're kind of very straight up, and like it looks like a bed, kind of an older bed. Like I didn't know if it was a wheelchair, like a Teddy Roosevelt era wheelchair, or you had come down with some polio or something's going on, but you're in a new location tonight.
I'm just chilling tonight. When we're recording, there's some kind of cold chill coming through all the East Coast, so I didn't feel like doing it from the basement, so I went upstairs to the spare bedroom, and I'm just in the spare bed, just chilling out, ready to entertain the world of the Verbal Shenanigan-verse.
Shenanigan-verse?
Yeah.
It really flows off the tongue, the verbal shenanigan-verse.
I mean, that's why I haven't made the t-shirts yet. I'm playing with the word right now. I mean, once we, nail it down, then we're going to get the IP and, like, really sell merchandise with it on there.
Could you take some constructive criticism? I think it just needs a little tweaking. It's still a little wordy.
Is it the gaverse part of it that you don't like?
Shenanigan-gaverse. Yeah, in fact, like when I signed on and you were in your bed, I'm like, this guy is going for comfort. This reminded me of when we were like on my couch back in the early days, and we had like no mic stands, so we used toilet paper rolls, and we kind of like were laying around being lazy. This is kind of reminds me of that, and I never knew that you didn't want to be cold during the podcast. You like to be perfect temperature, all primed and prepped. I'm glad you're comfortable.
Well, listen, I like my change of pace here and there. I like to keep you off guard a little bit. Sometimes Scotty gets used to Burlew in certain places, and I feel, what he brings is not at the tempo. So sometimes I'd like you to just, call me and you get that picture up. You're like, whoa, what's this? Oh my God! How do I deal with this? And
so you're saying you're like an artist who records at different studios for like a different producer. Like, oh, we'll have Rick Rubin do it this one, and then the next time you're gonna self-produce it. So like next week you might be on the toilet.
Well, maybe in the sink. I mean, I'm gonna save the toilet for like the 500th or something like that. Something really special.
400's around the corner. The toilet cast, if you want to really lose listeners more and more.
Well, on a side note, I will say, I think it was like 5 episodes back where you say, I'm going to FaceTime you and ask you Dukes of Hazzard questions on the fly.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't pick up the one time you attempted it was I was on the toilet. And there was a part of me that said, maybe I should give him what he deserves.
I'm a little disappointed you didn't answer because you're on the toilet. If I was on the toilet and you had some dumb question for me, I think it would add to the entertainment value of it. Unless you were like pure mid dump.
I don't know what level of dumping I was at. I know it was in progress, but I'm not sure if I was at the tail end or if I was still like midstream, if you will.
So, like, it would also be interesting to see, like, if your Dukes of Hazzard knowledge, like, stays at peak performance while getting rid of waste at the same time.
So you're saying, like, some people say they can't walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. You feel I can't take a dump and answer Dukes of Hazzard questions at
I don't
the
know.
same time.
What if your knowledge increased during those times? You just became like a savant where you just knew even more than ever, but only on the toilet.
Ah, you're saying as the toxins leave my body, my knowledge of Bo and Luke and Jesse just increases in my head.
You become more clear. You become, you have nothing blocking you, no waste in the body, just clear-headed. I mean, I don't know about you. I do some of my best thinking on the toilet.
I would be intrigued if that scientific experiment where, like, you get, like, a math test and you have the standard people, having their pencil and filling it out, and then people on the toilet with their number 2 pencil and filling out these answers and to see, based on everything, what the results are.
Yeah. So here's what we do. Go move. All right. We'll do 1.5 hour of this podcast from your bed, your strange bed that you're in right now. And then we'll do the other half. Maybe you should do the interview tonight on the toilet. I think our guests would appreciate that.
I mean, the possibilities are endless.
And then we'll poll people which half was Mike more entertaining, the toilet or the bed.
But I feel the acoustics in the bathroom will be very echoey for our guest. That's my only concern.
Were you that concerned when you were like, I'm going to lay down and do the cast? Or you were like, I'm sure the acoustics are perfect in bed right now?
Listen, I'm toasty right now. That's all that matters, buddy boy.
I pictured you from the waist down with like a fire burning by your feet and like big fluffy slippers on and a scotch.
I got like a turkey leg down here. No, I'm all set tonight. I mean, we're coming off of 420, so I got to keep the chill going.
It'd be great if we panned out and there's just like Izzy waving you down with like big olive branches and grape leaves, just keeping you cool.
Grape leaves?
What
are
they
those? Those are the palm leaves you're talking about?
Yeah, the big ones, like the old Greek gods used to get waved. Like you always see them in the cartoons.
Leaves are those tiny things that they make Italian food with. I don't think that's going to really cool me down.
Oh, well, maybe it'll provide a small breeze then. A small breeze. What were the big ones? Palms?
Yeah.
No.
I believe that's what they use. I mean,
listen, if you're looking at me for factual information at this point, I'm borderline like special needs at this point. My brain has deteriorated.
I'm going to Google what kind of leaves are used for fans. Because I'm sure Google will probably even be like, "Are you serious?"
Like reeds, right? Like I don't know. That doesn't really sound entertaining to me either. To have like these women like fanning me and feeding me things. I feel like I don't know. When I eat, I'm kind of like I eat fast and sometimes sloppy, and I don't really want me just sitting in like a grass skirt, getting like just fanned on, and I feel like there's a lot of attention drawn to me.
Well, there is a fan palm itself. I'm not sure if that's exactly the one used in the movies.
What would you, like let's say you were on the job hunt again, and some guy comes along and he's like, look, Mike, I need somebody. Look, I am on Zoom all day. This is my job. I do conferences all day. I do speeches. I do instruction. And it happens to be very hot in my house. And I also happen to have a small fetish where I just like to be fanned all day. You name your salary, and if it's within reason, I will pay you this just to keep me cool with a fan. And if you want to throw a little grass skirt and a coconut bra, that'll spice it. That'll get you another $50K.
Okay, so my first question is this like a scenario where this gentleman needs to be me waving for like 8 hours straight, or is there like just when you call me kind of deals? Like, what's the maximum amount of waving I would have to do in a day?
So, are you asking me if you get breaks during the day, like scheduled fan breaks?
Well, I mean, I guess like, I mean, I would assume this guy lives in some kind of very humid area.
Okay. Yeah.
For this need, I highly doubt he's not like on a 50-degree day asking me to fan him.
Oh, he is. It's a fetish. He's really into it. Okay, let's say he's like, for every hour you get a 15-minute break and an hour lunch break. So your normal 9 to 5.
Like what kind of wave are we talking about? Is it just like gentle, kind of like?
He pretty much he likes it gentle. He just likes it.
Okay.
He likes a cool, constant fanning.
I mean that seems more reasonable if it's like a low fan. If I'm going like this for an hour, I mean, I'm sure like after like a week I'd be like, all right, I'm dead. It's over.
Yeah. So let's say like what is it going to cost you a year to get into this man's life? He really wants you. He's like, Mike, I'll pay you what you want. But you can't insult them. You can't insult them either, because like if you go too high, it's like, I got another fanboy lined up, ready to do it.
I mean, I don't know, like 90K. I don't know.
Well, that's not bad, Mike. I feel like there's people listening right now. Like, what's the email? What's Mike's email? I'll pay him 90K to fan me. I was thinking. I was sitting at the 250, the 250K mark for a year.
Like, I mean, I can't fathom like I'm the best option at $250,000 for fanboy.
Listen, let's not break down the scenario on why he wants you so bad, because that's a whole other story. He has a thing for you, and he wants you particularly to fan him.
But that's the thing, and all. If he's like that crazy when he's like, "I'll give you $250,000 to be my year-long fanboy," I'm thinking he wants a little extra stuff other than just the fanning, and that's my concern point.
Oh no! You draw up a nice contract. It's a union. You know, you're not going to work any hours after 5, and if you do, you get time and a half. You get a 15-minute break. You get benefits. You get dental. It's just a weird job. It's just a weird job.
You're saying like if he demands like a higher level of fanning, I can go on a fanboy strike, is what you're telling me, because I'm in the union.
There's also fanboy HR that you have your rights.
I'm just concerned, like, as I'm holding up, like, the sign, you know, say I'm striking, he might come out and, like, start an argument where I'm, like, waving my sign and I'm giving him what he wants. You know what I mean?
He doesn't want anything else from you. It's a non-sexual fanboy relationship. It's just you and the fan. That's all he wants.
Yeah, I mean, probably 90, 100. I'd be fine with it. I mean, I don't care. I'm not going to put it on LinkedIn or anything like that. I'll just, if that pays for my house, I don't care.
If we had a larger spread maybe with this podcast, I would be scouring the internet for people who might pay you to do that, who have expendable cash to pay Mike to fan them.
Listen, that's more than my regular salary, so I don't care. I mean, if it gets me paid off of my house and my car, I don't care.
You don't care. You can go to work every day like, okay, just stretch it out a little bit, just another day of fanning Harry.
I mean, he seems to like me, so I guess we could like chit chat about sports and everything, like while I'm fanning him. I mean, maybe when he's like taking a call, I got to shut up and just fan in the corner, but I don't care.
Keep fanning. Wow. Well, to think that like 3 weeks ago we had a man who murdered someone and got out of jail, and we talked about really serious issues, and here we are talking about doing podcasts from the bed and talking about a job as a fanboy. So if you're tuning if you're just tuning in, this is kind of what you get here on the show.
Side note, I think it's a banana leaf.
I think you're correct. The banana leaf.
So, I mean, I guess on my taxes I could write off all my banana leaves because that'll be, for my new job and everything.
And I'm trying to picture a banana. Like, does a banana grow on each leaf, or just like the whole branch of the tree?
I think it's off the branch. I think it's like an offshoot, like the coconut. It's not like specifically in the leaf. It's just the tree has leaves, and it also grows the fruit.
Because I'm assuming if you're picking banana leaves every day, you're gonna rifle some bananas down too. You're gonna have a lot of potassium.
Well, I mean, that's a side business. You know, when I'm done with my 9 to 5, I'm on the corner selling bananas to people, and like I don't even need a 401k. I'm just set.
So you're selling spicy wine. You're selling bananas after a 9 to 5 fanning shift. What does this man not do? What was the other thing you had? You had like pet deer. Wasn't that another idea?
Yeah, pet deer. I feel we could make that work out.
Snake milk.
Snake milk. I don't think I made it a business, but we talked about the pasta that goes in the big cheese wheel. I don't think I made an official business about it, but I do really like that. So probably with the spare money, I'll make some kind of business around that.
I think you should just go on Shark Tank with all these ideas. Be like, listen, guys. Listen, Mark. Listen, Barbara. A lot of guys coming to you with one idea. Mike Burlow is coming here with 10 solid ideas. You get them all for one price.
And it's all under one umbrella. So, like, you can't just say, well, I like your first 3. It's like, no, you got to finance all 10 at the same time.
Yeah, if you want to be fanned, you're releasing spicy wine also.
Yes. If you want to have a meal where your pasta's thrown into a cheese wheel, then you got to let me have a baby deer as a pet as well.
I feel like you had one last week, and my memory is slipping on what you said, but you definitely had another Burlow's business ventures. But, you know.
We also talked about the dehumidifier water. We talked about that, seeing if it was drinkable as possibly a selling point.
So if you're all dry mouth from eating bananas and a long day of fanning, what goes better? What is a better way to wash it on down than with some dehumidifier water?
Well, first you drink the spicy wine and you appreciate that. And then you're like, ooh, I had a little too much. Now my mouth is burning. Then you bring out the dehumidifier and pour out a nice, cool glass of water.
Now,
and then it all works out.
Now,
I go at 5 o'clock. I got to go to the corner and sell these bananas.
If there's extra water, you could feed the deer with it. The dehumidifier.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean,
let me ask you something: is the dining experience with the dehumidifier water? Do you come and place the dehumidifier at the table and like turn it on, and or is it already filled with water from the day?
Well, we have a sommelier who like tells you about the different types of humidifiers that we have.
Right.
You know, I figure there's got to be at least like 6 or 7 brands of dehumidifiers, and he can kind of say, all right, this water is plucked from this,
basement.
From G&E. Dehumidifiers 2 years ago from Mike's basement.
Well, maybe
it's got a nice little rustic taste.
Yeah, maybe you're onto something. Like someone takes a dehumidifier over to like Napa Valley, and they're just like, "This is the water from Napa Valley that's been run through my dehumidifier." And then I see you having to take the bucket out of the bottom and pour it into people's glasses. This is a real romantic experience.
Yeah, I mean, it will be like a fancy bucket. I mean, it's a nice restaurant and everything, but right. I mean, we'll have all our things in a row for opening night.
I'm just more thinking like if the experience is, hey, you sit down and you turn on the dehumidifier and you got to wait for the water to it's already dehumidified.
Well, that's why I need the finances, because I got to pay for the overnight people to like run the dehumidifiers in certain places and pluck the water and get it ready in the restaurant.
See, I was thinking, you know how some places have like tableside guacamole, other people have the pepper boy. This is like your waiters are walking around with dehumidifiers. It's like, humidifier water, ma'am? And sure. And they pour it into their water glasses around the table.
Well, I mean, they'll do that, but we got to prep the water. I mean, we're not going to go to the table with a dehumidifier and turn it on and be like, we'll be ready in an hour with your water.
So that might be part of the experience, though. What if, like, we don't believe you? Like, that's like seeing how the sausage is made. Like, we want to see the organic water coming from the dehumidifier.
Well, some places aren't humid. Like, I mean, if I have my restaurants in like Arizona and Georgia, I mean, maybe I can make this work out, but I mean, this is a franchise. Once if I want to get something in like Minnesota, don't get that humid up there. But what are going to do half the time?
Okay, but people might be really interested. It's like a craft brewery, right? There's beer, hometown feel. We want to drink our hometown dehumidifier water. Drink local, Mike. You don't want to be outsourcing all your water.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, when it's like 30 degrees outside, it's not that humid. And, I guess it's, you're really going to make me run this dehumidifier in these non-humid conditions and make longer, I'm going to have to charge you extra during off season. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, I would say dehumidifier water is level 300 stupid, but I don't think it's as dumb as maybe selling snake milk on the side of the road.
I don't know if that's much of a market or not.
I think if you there are people out there stupid enough, if you marketed it the right way, like if you had people drinking their dehumidifier water saying it's very environmental because it's coming, there's no water source, you're taking it from the sky, and that it's sustainably harvested. We're not going into any water. So there are people dumb enough to really be like, dehumidifier water is the most green, sustainable water you can buy.
Yeah, we can say it runs on like solar energy or windmill power or something like that, and they would eat it up hook, line, and sinker, and all just like put it in a bottle and like have the label have like a leaf on it or something like that. Right. Where like, oh, that's extra natural.
Now, every good product needs a good spokesperson. You gotta get that celebrity. Who are you gonna grab to endorse this product that's gonna really match the morals and the goals of the company?
Maybe like a Rob Lowe or somebody that's like was a good actor in the '90s who could be available, but somebody who's still like, I don't know what it is about this guy's face, but I trust him.
Wait. So you think Rob Lowe is gonna be like, in between acting, when I'm on the set,
continue.
There's nothing better than, sometimes I get tired, even sometimes I get parched, and there is nothing better than a little Mike Burlew's dehumidifier water. Tasty, sustainable, green.
Yeah, I mean, he's got one of those faces where, like, even if you going into it and saying, hey, this is BS, you watch a commercial a few times, you're going to start buying into it. There's something about like a Rob Lowe face where you're like, okay, this must be legit if he's in on this.
I feel like you have a good chance of getting Shaq to do it. I mean, I feel like he does everything. So to get Shaq to endorse dehumidifier water would be fantastic.
He needs to get paid. He's going to want part of the company, I mean, that's why he does.
So what?
I just built this from the ground up, and I mean, I don't know.
So you're telling me right now you're getting this, you're building from the ground up. Shaq's like, look, I need 50% of the company to do these commercials. You're going to debate with Shaquille O'Neal?
Well, I mean,
dude, the dude does general commercials and icy hot commercials. You can get him.
I don't know. I mean, he does have cash on him and all, but I feel he's going to try. He's going to find a way to get that 51% to take that company away from me. That's my personal opinion. If
there was one guest from our show that we've interviewed that would be like, yeah, he would be a good spokesperson for. Now, we haven't had Shaq or Rob Lowe on. If there was someone you can grab from the show, who would be a good spokesperson for dehumidifier water?
Well, I think I want to keep it at that nature angle where it's like nice and like refreshing and people think it's great for an environment. So I might have Sky Falconry do it. I might have
wait. So
yep.
You have the falconry that so you're picturing like you taking a cup of dehumidifier and like a falcon swooping by and being like and like flying off, and like the farmer being like, all our falcons are hydrated daily by dehumidifier water. I don't know where we'd be.
Well, it's not like, oh, we feed the falcons it, but like you have this scene of like nature. Like I see like the camera panning over a sunset, looking at like the ocean, the woods, and then like a falcon just flying through the air and landing on somebody. And then they just chat about, we love nature and nothing is more natural than dehumidifier water.
So as they're panning through this beautiful scenery, it pans to the left, and it's just a bunch of dehumidifiers plugged in, running, just making water.
Well, like I said, we got to figure out a way to make it look like it's on solar panels or wind power or something like that. We got to keep it in the natural sense where people are like, yes, this is helping the environment. Me drinking this humidifier water, this nasty little water.
See, I'd go with John Walsh, America's Most Wanted, like real, like hard, like, you know what? Are you tired of crime? You've been solving cases all night, and he's just like, you may know me. There's a face that people have known for like how long? 30, 40? I don't know, 30 years, and he's just like, a dehumidifier water helps me catch child predators. Man, right away, I want to help catch child predators.
See, I don't think that would work because I feel then that it sounds like those commercials they have on like Fox News, like the ones for like the reverse mortgages and stuff like that, where people will be like, nah, I'm not buying into this at all. Like, I need something that's like looks like really legit, where you question it at first, but just as it slowly keeps on seeing it, you go, okay, I'm slowly turning and all. Well, I mean, I don't know what it is about this.
What about Clark Fredericks? Like, oh, I would have killed myself in jail if I didn't have dehumidifier water for 5 years.
That might be a tad hard. That might be a tad hard to kind of pull off something like that. Or maybe, who was our lumberjack?
Darren Hudson.
Yeah, Darren Hudson. That might be another thing. Like, he's in the woods, chopping wood, looking manly, wearing a flannel,
rolling on the log, sipping the water.
Exactly.
All right.
Like, people be like, "Whoa, what is this?"
I'm starting to see your vision.
And maybe using the side product and all, he could put a little drop of snake milk in it and be like, "This is an energy drink now."
See, now you're going too far. Now, I mean, it's going to be a hard enough sell to get the dehumidifier water out to the public, and now you're throwing snake milk at them. You don't want to sound like a crazy man who has nothing to do on Wednesday nights but record a podcast.
Well, we establish the humidifier water, and then we kind of move on to, okay, what do we do with the snake milk? We make it an energy drink. And we just have to make sure, like, the commercial ends with, like, 8,000, some narrator saying 8,000 words, like, don't use too much of it, you're going to die if you drink snake milk and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So we got our bases covered.
Well, I mean, the shenanigan-giverse is, it all needs a little tweaking, but Mike, you're on your way. You're on your way.
Yeah, just got to figure out the giverse part, and then we'll be set.
I mean, maybe even like shenaniverse. Get rid of the "g" in there.
Not buying it. But we'll talk off there.
Well, I don't even know what to say. We just did 27 minutes on dehumidifier water, but I feel like our guest would appreciate it. I feel like he would enjoy our idiocy, if you will. And if you're just tuning in, welcome. Welcome to the show. That's Mike. I'm Scott. Mike, it's it's guest time. Who do we got?
Scott, we're talking with a guy who's been on television for basically 4 or 5 decades right now. The man's name is John Bloom. You may not recognize that name, but you may recognize him for the work that he did on his drive-in theater on the movie channel, Monster Vision, and now the last drive-in on Shudder with the 3rd season just coming out. Tonight we're going to be talking with Joe Bob Briggs.
Joe Bob Briggs. I wonder if he'll like snake milk. But I mean, wait a minute. Here's the guy. Here's the guy that can endorse this product.
Yeah, I can see him in front of the trailer with some humidifiers going in the back and all. Sometimes I crack open a beer, but sometimes I get a little parched, and you gotta get your hand on something else. What do?
Well,
you go to Burloo's dehumidifier water. That's what you do.
Anyway, I apologize for the last 28 minutes, but you guys will really love the next half hour. Here is our interview with Joe Bob Briggs.
Hey, it's Mike and Scott from Verbal Shenanigans. How's it going?
Hey, okay. How are you doing?
Hey, Joe, what's going on?
Doing well. Where are we calling you from tonight?
I'm in New York. Which is Michael and which is Scott?
I'm the one with the better voice.
I'm Mike.
Yeah, I'm the one with the cooler.
You're right.
Cooler voice.
Yeah,
I'm Scott.
I'm the one with the southern voice who lives in the South, but technically lived in the North for most of his life. And that's
okay. Where are you guys based?
Scott is based out of New Jersey. I'm formerly from New Jersey. I currently live out in Georgia right now.
That's cool. What part of Jersey?
I'm in Denville.
Denville. All right. There's too many little towns in Jersey. I can't keep track of them.
Yeah, it's like northwest, kind of by Parsippany and Morris.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, the foresty area of New Jersey nobody talks about.
Yes.
No, that's actually where we're shooting my show now. We had to leave Texas.
Really?
We couldn't get it. We couldn't get COVID insurance in Texas.
So you're shooting in New Jersey?
So we're shooting in, I guess, the number one state for COVID.
Yeah, right. And that's great logic right there.
Yeah. So actually, we're shooting out near where they shot Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, Camp Nobi Bosco. Yeah. It's out.
Okay, you can pronounce it. All right, good.
I can't because when I was a kid in Boy Scouts, we went there and we thought it was like the coolest thing. And then when you get older, you realize it's just like a little pond. But it's it's got history behind it. So.
Yep.
So, Joe Bob, thanks for giving us some time today. I guess the best way to kind of start off things is by asking you, after 5 decades, are you still surprised us people are still calling you Joe Bob around these times?
Surprised but grateful, I guess. I've had people say, "Why? How have you had such a long career?" You don't have a long career. You have 50 different careers.
Right.
So that's
right.
Basically the way I've done it.
So let's kind of get to your beginnings and all. For what I see, you originally went to school writing to be like a sports journalist and all. What kind of turned things for you?
Well, really, I started when I was 13 years old. I went to work for the Arkansas Democrat newspaper in Little Rock as a apprentice copy boy in the sports department. And but at the time, I mean, they called it a copy boy, but you had to write. Nobody who worked for the paper escaped from writing. And so even at 13 years old, they had you writing 10 articles a day. Of course, they were all unsigned, but that's basically how I learned to be a writer. And then they have a sports writing scholarship at Vanderbilt University named after Grantland Rice. No one remembers him today, but in his heyday, he was this syndicated sports columnist. He wrote. He's known for two things. He wrote the most famous lead in sports history, which is the Four Horsemen of Notre Dame lead, and then he wrote the poem when the last great scorer comes to mark against your name, he won't record you won or lost, but how you played the game. So he's known for those two things.
Right.
So they dedicated this scholarship to him at Vanderbilt. It's just like a sports an athletic scholarship, but it's for writing. And so I won it in 1971 and went to Vanderbilt on this sports writing scholarship. And then as soon as I was writing sports all through my high school years, junior high school years, and college. And then as soon as I got out of college, I'd had enough sports. And so, I mean, you go through the season so many times, it starts to all sound the same. So, so I branched out, became a investigative reporter and feature writer, columnist, worked for a lot of different newspapers, magazines. And that's, I guess I was a journeyman is what you would call
right.
it. I was a journeyman journalist. Yeah.
So now when you come from it, like, it seems like you're building your way up in the, in the writing world, as far as going from sports to reporting to working on your craft. How did you make the decision almost in a way to kind of, I don't know if dial it back is the right word, but to dive into kind of these B movies and these cult film, like it's almost like you had.
Well, that was really my No,
it's like you almost had to embrace.
That was really my passion.
Okay.
At the time that I started working in newspapers, the B movie or the exploitation movie or the genre movie or whatever you call it was not even reviewed. They were considered beneath contempt. They were disposable trash. Newspapers did not cover those at all. And so I had to figure out a way to get the reviews into the paper. And so I went back to, I was an admirer of 19th century American journalism, guys like Mark Twain and Ambrose Bierce and those guys who frequently wrote under a number of different names. And so I just created a character that would be accepted as a reviewer of B movies so that I could review the movies. And at first, none of the exploitation companies trusted me. I would say, "Can you screen that movie for me?" And they would say, "We don't screen our movies for critics ever." And they would, "You don't understand. I love your stuff." "Oh yeah, right. You love Graveyard Tramps, sure."
Right.
And the first guy who sort of took me under his wing and accepted me and started screening his films for me was Roger Corman. And so a lot of the aspects of my column, which was called Joe Bob Goes to the Drive-In, came from conversations I had with Roger Corman back in the early 80s.
Wow. So when did you start seeing traction from your articles? Is it something, since you're doing something that's out of the norm for writing, are you kind of getting looked down upon from your colleagues at the newspapers, or are people accepting you? What's the thing?
No, I was looked down on by my colleagues, by my editors, by various groups who thought I was making fun of them. And I was making fun of them. And it was both popular and controversial almost from day one. I remember the first big blow up we had was with the Catholics, because I wrote this column where I reviewed I called it that great Roman Catholic double feature: I drink your blood and I eat your skin. And that was a double feature at the time at the drive-in: I drink your blood and I eat your skin. And it was just that one joke. It wasn't like a whole column it wasn't a whole column of Catholic jokes. And I don't remember the name of the organization, but the organization that defends the honor of Catholics attacked me and put me on a forbidden list, and so that was the first of many encounters, I would say, with
somewhere in the Vatican they have a list of all these people like Hitler and Stalin, and then somewhere in the middle is Joe Bob Briggs.
Exactly. I'm on a banned list somewhere.
Now, how did you how did you go from being this? You'd have been writing now for years and years and years in behind the camera. How did you make that transition to being in front of the camera? Like, was that a hard transition?
Well, people started asking me to speak, and at first I just went to civic groups and little nightclubs and stuff, and did various versions of my column. And then this guy in Cleveland, this promoter in Cleveland, invited me to do a whole show, like a live show, at the in Berea, Ohio, which is right in the flight path of the Cleveland airport. The reason I know that is you could hear the planes flying over the theater the whole time I was doing the show. But anyway, he asked me to do a whole show. Well, So I put together this show, and I thought, I don't know anybody in Cleveland. I've never been to Cleveland. I can bomb in Cleveland and leave, and nobody will ever know. So I go to Cleveland, and somehow, I don't know, it's on the front entertainment page of USA Today that I'm going to do this show in Cleveland. And so for the very first time I ever performed on stage, I had 800 people in the audience. Huh. And it was horrible. It was horrendous. It was just, but I think because they knew that it was the first time that I was such a neophyte, it was writer turned, performer. They gave me a break, and I had these country western songs that I'd written, and I had a backup band. And so every time I would start to die, I would go to one of these songs. Like I have a song called "You Said You Were a Virgin, But Your Baby Ain't Named Jesus," and I have a song called "When Orkin Comes to Spray." And I had a series of and the music kind of saved me. And when I got finished with the show, I vowed I would never take the stage again the rest of my life. It was just this horrible experience. And about 6 months later, somebody else asked me to do a show, and I said, okay, I need 3 months of preparation and I'll try it again. It's like I would never. It's like I just realized how hard it was, and how you don't just stride up on the stage and start talking.
No.
Well, that's true. I think that's what happened with like Charlie Sheen. Like at first, when he got with the whole Tiger Blood thing, and he was so super hot, he went up on stage and he had like one great night, and then, if I recall, he started like crashing, where they had to like stop the shows and had to like revamp it before he go back on stage.
Yeah, I think he thought you could just sort of talk off the cuff on stage, A
lot of people
do. And no, it doesn't work. So I still do. I love the stage now. I actually prefer it to film. I have a show called How Rednecks Saved Hollywood that I've done all over the country, and waiting for COVID to be over so I can start doing it again.
Yeah.
But I love those shows now. I try to do as many of them as possible.
So what led you to go into like the movie channel? Did they find out about you? Were you putting out feelers to kind of expand the character? How'd that go about?
The movie channel had bought all these Z-grade films over in Europe at some film market, and they were playing them on Friday night, I think, and they weren't getting much viewership on them. Mm-hmm. And they decided that the movie channel was the fourth premium channel after you bought HBO and Showtime and Cinemax. If you still had money left over, you bought the movie channel. And so they were hiring hosts, and they had me actually come as a guest host, 1 month deal. I just sat in a lazy boy recliner with steer horns on the back and introduced 2 movies a week for 4 weeks. And they said, "Oh, that went well. Come back the next month." I came back the next month, did the same thing, and they kept inviting me back, and I stayed 11 years. I don't think we ever formalized it. It was 11-year guest hosting.
That's great.
And so every time I came back, we would add things to the set, or I would add different elements to the show. So it was just this organic show. It just grew by bits and pieces. And then when they changed format, they let me go, and TNT had the show Monster Vision, and they said, you want to come over here and do a show with us on Monster Vision? And I was like, yeah, what kind of show you want to do? And they said, that exact same show that you do over on the movie channel. And I was like, really? I said, well, good, because I have some sets and some costumes and some things that we can use. And so I just moved over to TNT, much larger audience, and much harder show because you had to do every commercial break.
Yeah.
And so in an average movie, there's 7 of those. So you do an intro, an outro, and seven breaks, and but they didn't really pay attention to the show at TNT, which was a good thing for me because we were on in the middle of the night, and we could just the show could be as long or as short as we wanted it to be. In other words, we had no time limits.
That's cool.
As long as we were done by 6 a.m., well, they were fine. So, some of the breaks were 5 minutes long. I just kept talking, and sometimes they were like 15 seconds long. So we just it was great freedom. I don't think anywhere on TV do they do that anymore.
Now,
there's nothing I could think of. Like, think of like all the 80s and 90s. There was there was USA Up All Night, but I don't think there's a show like that nowadays, really.
No, hosting. A couple of things killed hosting. One is the number of commercials became more and more part of the viewing hour. So, some so-called 1-hour shows on networks are actually 42 minutes.
Right.
And so you don't have time to add a host in there.
Yeah.
You're only getting 42 minutes of movie in the hour to begin with. So hosting doesn't fit that format. And then I think it was just associated with hosting was associated with bad movies, which I loved, but network executives who are trying to burnish their image don't necessarily want that. It was great when I worked for Ted Turner because he's a redneck. So
now you did so much stuff in film, random roles, and I'm sure you maybe get this question a lot. But as we scheduled this interview, I looked in, I'm like, oh my God, he was in Casino, and then I'm like, I kind of forgot what scene, and it's actually one of the scenes, kind of a little bit of an iconic scene as far as with De Niro and whatnot. How did that come about? And did you was there this weight of, oh my God, I'm going in a Scorsese film?
Totally. There was this brief period between the movie channel and TNT where I was out of a job and I started going out on auditions, and I got and that's one of them that I got, it was terrifying because they had me audition for Scorsese, I thought I was going to, just read for the casting director or something. But they had me read for Scorsese with De Niro.
Oh wow!
And so I was terrified. I was terrified for the week before that. And but when I got there, when I got to the audition room, Scorsese's first question was, "What's the best women in prison movie?"
That's great.
And I said, I don't know, Chained Heat. He says, I agree with you. It might be Chained Heat. But then we were waiting on De Niro to get there, and I was getting more and more nervous. But De Niro came in, and he didn't know his lines, and he had to use his glasses and stare straight down at the script. And so I was fine with that. I just didn't want him like staring into my face while I was doing the thing, And so I got, I was just happy to do the reading.
Oh hell yeah!
The casting session. And then when they called and said, "Oh, you got the part," I was like, "Oh, fuck."
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's still one of those, if it's on movies, I'm watching it. Like, if I'm flipping channels, it's on, I'm going to sit in for a half hour and just catch some of it.
Well, you know how I know that? I get the residual checks, and it's by far, more money than any other thing I've ever been associated with.
Huh.
I mean, they must be showing that thing in Thailand 90 times a week or something.
That's awesome.
It's just, I don't know where, I don't know. That movie never stops playing anywhere around the world. It's just like everyone has seen that movie.
Yeah, there's a couple movies like that. It's like Goodfellas, I'll sit around and watch some. Shawshank Redemption, Casino, a little bit of Forrest Gump. You can catch a half hour and you're like, I'm good. I'll watch. It's just good. It's broken up into acts, so it's.
You just named 4 movies that have voiceover narration. You must love voiceover narration.
I do. It's funny you say that because I do. I do love it.
Yeah.
You have now your show is coming on to Shudder. In fact, it's the 3rd season's premiering this Friday as we're recording this with Eli Roth.
Oh, nice.
You're so synonymous with kind of like horror-like movies, and we've been always trying to get in these waves of we'll have like 3 or 4 years like, oh my God, all these horror movies are amazing, and then they'll just take a dip out of nowhere. So out of curiosity, in your opinion, is there anything worse to watch than a PG-13 horror movie?
Well, there aren't many of those. But what immediately comes to mind when you say that is, Disney made a couple of Bette Davis horror movies that I think were actually, they weren't even PG-13. They may have been G. And so, horror? Like right at the end of her career.
Freaking Disney, man. Freaking Disney.
Yeah, really. You have to. I mean, you have to assume that the special effects are going to suck in a PG-13, because usually the reason they get the hard R rating to begin with is the special effects in horror. They don't get it for the swear words.
No.
But nevertheless, there is a thing. There is a lot of mainstream horror now, and I mean, it is mainstream horror. The Shape of Water. I mean, The Shape of Water won the goddamn Academy Award. I mean, a horror film with a rubber suit monster in it won the Academy Award.
Yeah.
That would never have happened even, 15 years ago. So I think what's happened is horror has entered the mainstream. Horror is a genre right up there with, the love story or the drama or the action film or,
Yeah.
Whereas it used to be something beneath contempt. I mean, studios didn't even want to touch that stuff. So we're in this boom period for horror. It goes in waves. I mean, there are periods where hardly anything. The 90s weren't that great for horror. The 80s were great. The first decade of this century was great, and now it's great. But you have these periods like the 90s, the 60s. There's occasional big hit, but you don't have that much horror going on.
Yeah.
But I think it's here to stay. I mean, it's like there's no. In other words, you used to have a lot of directors who would say, "Well, yeah, I made one horror film to get my foot in the door, but I'm not a horror director."
Right.
And today you have a lot of young guys who want to be horror directors. They want to make horror their whole life.
Yeah.
Now,
I think
Eli Roth is kind of a mix of the two. I mean, I think he started out as a fanboy horror guy, but I think he wants to be more than that in the long run. I think I'm one of the few people on the planet who loved the remake of Death Wish that he directed with Bruce Willis. And I thought, oh man, he's good. He's really good. It's not just Hostel. It's not just Cabin Fever.
Right.
And he has. I'm also a big fan of the Green Inferno, which nobody ever talks about when they talk about Eli Roth. But anyway, the reason he's on the show is we're just going to geek out for 4 hours on two classic horror films from the 80s. So they're not his films. They're films they're actually both films that influenced him. But we're just going to discuss why these, and they're both films that at the time they came out were considered trash, just utter trash.
So let me ask you. We've seen it happen in performance and acting so much, where people start with a character and they do it for so long that it starts to become them a little bit. We've seen it with like Andrew Dice Clay, and he started that as a joke, and now he is the Dice Man. Like that's Andy Kaufman did it. You get a bunch of guys.
Yep.
Has Joe Bob Briggs? Have you become him in your personal life at all, or is there still a wall between them?
Well, there's a little bit of a wall, but I think what happened is Joe Bob became more. I just started putting more of me into Joe Bob.
Right.
So I didn't have to go into mental treatment or anything for schizophrenia, but
not yet.
But yeah, there has been a merging of the personalities. It is a strange thing. The thing is, when you're doing a character, you're able to say things in a more interesting way than you would as yourself.
Right.
And so, the things I say as Joe Bob is just an exaggerated version of myself, but it's not too far off the mark.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Joe, we've had a great time talking to you. Tell us about some things that are coming up. Tell us about the premiere on Shudder, and if people want to get in touch with you, where they can get in contact.
Yeah, well, anybody can write to me at joebob@joebobbriggs.com or go to my website, joebobbriggs.com. But the main thing we're doing this summer is Joe Bob's Drive-In Jamboree, which is July 16 through 18.
Yeah.
It's the Drive-In Woodstock. It's the gathering. We call it the Gathering of the Mutants, and so it's this 3-day event at the Mahoning Drive-In in eastern Pennsylvania. Mahoning Drive-In is in the middle of nowhere, but it's this cult drive-in. It's become really famous among cult movie fans. And so the first day of the event is called Mutant Fest, and it's a celebration of the ultra low budget film. It's a film festival of guerrilla films from all over the country. People, sort of do-it-yourself films, guys who don't have any financial support from L.A., New York, And so that's the first day. The second day is we're going to do a live version of The Last Drive-In, my show on Shudder, on stage and on screen, and a double feature. And then the third day is a haunted drive-in with zombies that attack your car while you're watching the 2 classic horror films that I'll also be hosting. And all 3 days is bands, custom cars,
sounds great.
Vendors, all kinds of stuff. So it's the ultimate drive-in carnival in the sort of mountains of eastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I feel like
that's the main
zombies
thing I'm doing this summer.
Zombies in Casino wouldn't be quite the match. Like it goes much better.
No, I think for the haunted.
I've seen Pesci go after some zombies. I got to be honest.
Oh, there's a show right there.
I'd say the zombies lose with Pesci.
Any day. They don't even stand a chance.
Yeah.
Joe Bob, final question. What was more exciting, almost winning a Pulitzer or almost winning 2 Cable Ace Awards?
Oh, definitely the Cable Ace Award. The reason I never won, they stopped giving the Cable Ace Award, by the way. But the reason I never won is nobody ever knew what to call my show. And so it was this category called interstitial programming, and so we would be up against the 6-minute show on insects that was on Nat Geo, and the insect show would win.
God damn it! That's great.
Oh man, Joe Bob Briggs, we had such a great time with you. The Last Drive-In, 3rd season coming out on Shudder. Thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight.
Thank you, Joe.
Right, thanks, guys.
All right, Mike, Joe Bob Briggs, bringing some levity to the show.
Yeah, yes, he did. I know we don't want to spend all day on crazy inventions and so forth, but as a side note, did you see Busch Beer is coming out with dog brew?
No.
Yeah, it's. I was looking at it. Apparently, Kevin Harvick is going to be driving the dog brew car this weekend.
Stop.
It's not beer per se, but it's kind of curious how they're getting into it. I'm looking at it right now. Busch Dog Brew is an all-natural product and contains only fresh ingredients made with vegetables, herbs, spices, water, and pork broth to provide your best buddy with a nutritious and tasty snack that helps to promote healthy digestive systems.
See, this sounds like something you would have came up on episode 100 or something. You'd have been like, Burlow's Dog Brew. But we don't.
Well, I would have got my dog drunk, though, with Burlow's Dog Brew. That's the difference. This is non-alcoholic.
Yeah, it's like, who wants non-alcoholic beer? But, I mean, I guess I could see it if you're dry. I don't know. You're out having a barbecue and your dog's out there with you. Somehow we're talking about barbecues again. But you're out there and you got a 6-pack for you and maybe a couple cold dog brews for him. I don't know. But what I would listen. I had to take my dog to the vet again the other day with his allergies and whatnot. If Kevin Harvick or whoever's Bush's Dog Brew cures his allergies, I will pay to have them to be a sponsor on the pod. I will buy stock in their beer.
In Bush beer, wow. I mean,
it's better than going to the vet every couple months and spending God knows what on trying to get his allergies sorted out. So,
well, let's see. It's ingredients: bone-in pork butt, whole corn, celery, basil, mint, turmeric, ginger, and water. So it sounds like something that would cure something.
I mean, it sounds like something I might try. It sounds like something that's kind of refreshing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe drop a shot of vodka into that and give it a go there.
You ever try one of your dog's treats?
I do know, like, when I used to do the pet vaccination thing and they had, like, that big bar of dog treats. Like, we had a guy who was just, like, snacking on them, and I tried it for the hell of it. There was nothing special. And basically, they make them bland just because they got to.
This guy was, like, frequently snacking on them?
Yeah, like, literally, he had, like, a handful in his hand. We're looking at him like, why are you doing that? And he's like, why? It's food and all, and just chomping down. Like, he didn't, like, do this, like, constantly, but he did, like, once where it's like, well, I got to know what it tastes like, and I bit into him, like, well, there's nothing to it.
Oh, so yeah, I was picturing, like, oh, here's Jay. He just comes in, grabs a handful, and, like, moves on to his next job. Like, he's just always wolfing down these dog treats. I've tried my dog's treat before.
Yeah, what kind?
Like a milk boney type thing. It was like a peanut butter milk bone or something. I was like, yeah, I'll give it a try. It just tastes kind of blandy and a slightest hint of like a meat taste. It wasn't terrible. I wouldn't sit there and eat them like your friend did, but you know.
Yeah, I feel that the dog diets out there, they just don't give any oomph to the animals. That's why they always begging for our food.
That's a great slogan right there. Michael Burlew's dog food. We give oomph to the animals.
Now I gotta go back on Shark Tank and go, listen, I know I put 10 in front of you, but we just made it the 11th one. No, don't tell security to take me out. You gotta listen to this pitch and then you can say yay or nay to it, okay?
I mean, oomph to the animals is a pretty great slogan, I'm not gonna lie.
And maybe that could be the podcast slogan. That's better than Shenaniganiverse.
I mean, most things are, but you know. Anyway, Joe Bob Briggs, everybody. He was a good guest, man.
Really good.
Very interesting guy. Mike, you got your vax?
I got the first one a couple weeks ago. May 2nd will be number 2. Getting super stoked to actually kind of end this kind of staying at home and being careful and stuff like that.
Yeah. I also got my first shot on Monday. Was gonna wait it out a little bit longer to kind of see what kind of if anybody was dealing with any kind of side effects or a little bit longer term things, but I have a whole bunch of like weddings, and I got comedy coming back in some form, and the idea of like me not having a vax and like 50 to 100 to 150 people all face towards me laughing and like blowing their hot garbage breath towards the stage, their COVID-y breath. I mean, maybe laughing, but at least breathing towards the stage.
Like, I was about to say, you're pretty confident with that reaction of 100 people laughing at your jokes.
Yeah.
You do realize I've seen your act before, right?
Especially after a year, essentially a year off, other than like virtual shows. It's gonna be quite interesting stepping on the stage again. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, I felt maybe, and I'm officiating one of the weddings, Mike. It's not the Shenanigans Showdown, but this was the one I was supposed to officiate last year, and it got moved over to COVID. So I just felt like, God forbid, say it's a week out from the wedding, I get COVID, and they're screwed. They don't have anybody to marry them and whatnot. And knowing this bride, knowing the way she's acting about everything, she might go into a full-on tailspin. So I just thought it was the right time to do it. So I also got my first shot on Monday. How did you get Pfizer or Moderna?
I got Pfizer.
Yep.
It was an interesting setup. Like I set the appointment, and of course, like I mapped it out because they say you can go there 15 minutes early, and of course, I hit all this traffic. I hit a school district where I'm honking my horn.
You hit a school district. You're a terrible man.
Well, I didn't hit the district, but I hit the traffic of said district, which was really destroying my time. And then I was getting stressed out because they had 2 lines, and of course I get behind the one person who didn't make a reservation. Where I'm not sure if yours was the same. It was run by the military, so there is no I'm just going to go past these people and get in line kind of deals.
No, yeah.
So that kind of freaked me out. And it's also kind of weird after years of 90s movies where everything that the military does, there's some evil plan behind it and all, is kind of weird and all, just seeing they're the ones responsible for giving out all these shots.
Yeah, kind of like a End of Days kind of movie or something like that. Now, see, mine, I got right at the Walgreens.
Okay. We don't.
Made an appointment, and I think this is relatively new, but made an appointment and scheduled it for 1:05. Got there at 1 o'clock. They took me in at 1:05, and we talked on the podcast before. I don't have the best track record with needles as far as now. I don't dislike, I'm not freaked out by the needle itself. I just have a weird reaction. I've had a weird reaction in the past where I just pass out and collapse. I've had what I would say at least 4 incidents in my life where I for one time I just remembered this the other day because I was telling this story. I went and got some kind of. This is when I had a lymph node pop out of my neck, and I freaked out, thought I was dying. And at the same time, that same last couple months, my buddy had the same thing and was diagnosed with a certain type of lymphoma, and I was like, well, I'm dead. And I went and they did a scan and whatever, and everything was fine. They were like, oh, it's an infected lymph node. It can come from an infection. We'll give you an antibiotic shot or something like that. I'm like, okay. Sign I get the shot. They're like, all right, have a good day. Go to the front to check out. Go to sign out or whatever you had to do at the end, maybe take payment or I can't remember exactly. But all of a sudden I'm signing the papers and the blinds start closing and I start getting sweaty and all of a sudden, whack, I wake up. I'm on the floor, and I just start laughing. I go, did I pass out? And they're like, oh, yeah, you hit the deck. And there was 5 people around me are you okay? Are you okay? I'm fine. I'm fine. This happened before. So I don't know what the reaction is. But since, over the last 6, 7, 8 years, anytime I've had the shot, which hasn't been many, I feel like I dress it now with the nurses, and I'm like, look, I'm not the best with shots, so I'm going to sit in this chair for a few minutes afterwards, and the shot was fine. I think shot technology has come a long way, because holy crap, that was the smallest little pinch ever, the COVID thing. It was boop, you're done. I was like, holy crap, that was quick. I don't know, maybe the military, maybe yours was boom, you're vaccinated now, but...
Well, no, I mean, the military, has the setup there because drive-in thing, and I mean that was a good thing. You never get out of your car, you roll down your windows when you need to, and a nurse comes and gives you a shot. And that's why I'm a little surprised by your story because, when you're done, where they direct you is you basically stay in line for 10 to 15 minutes to make sure you're good. You can leave if you want to, but you can sit there and just let
wait,
them know.
So they gave you your shot in the car?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
Just really roll down the window, address it, give it a shot. You get in line. When you get to the front of the line, they go, "You feel okay? Yep. You good? You feel good to go? Yep."
Yeah.
And then you drive off. So.
Yeah, they told me afterwards, go sit in that, sit for 15 minutes and then you can go. I'm like, okay. And then I felt fine. It was good. How'd you feel after?
I really felt nothing. Maybe a tiny bit of soreness. Now I'm going into the second one. We're concerned because that's where most people say you get some kind of cold symptoms or something like that. I mean, not all the time. Like my parents had their too, but I think they did Moderno and they didn't feel anything. So there's a little bit of a concern point, but I really felt nothing about it.
I felt a little like green, like a little like when you're kind of like nauseous, like I don't know, like that feeling like right before you're getting sick, like it's kind of like something's coming. Like I went to go like weed whack outside, and I got like very like lightheaded and kind of nauseous. I was like, ugh. And then but then I took 2 Advil and I was fine. And I would say the next day I just felt like a little foggy, just kind of like kind of clouds a little bit.
If you had these reactions to shots, it's really the best thing to do. Go out in the heat and do some yard work.
No heat.
Is that what your doctor recommended?
50 degrees outside. No heat.
I mean, you literally pass out in the middle of a Walgreens. Are you sure the first thing you should do is you gotta let me go? The yard is looking terrible right now, doctor.
No,
you gotta let me go.
I didn't pass out in the Walgreens. That was a story from a long time ago that I passed out at a doctor's office.
Oh, okay. I thought it was intertwined. Your story's very confusing. You're going back and forth here. And are you sure this is not an effect from the first shot, Scott?
Listen, you ever see a Christopher Nolan movie? Keep up. A lot of time changes, a lot of back and forth, past, present, future.
I feel like your story is going to be on like a QAnon website where they're like, look what they're doing with the vaccine. Mm-hmm. Look what happened to this local quote-unquote comedian from New Jersey.
Local loser from New Jersey dies at Walgreens.
Self-proclaimed comedian Scott Brennan passes out.
Scott Brennan dead as hell in Walgreens. No,
wedding in peril.
No, I made it out of the Walgreens just fine. But I was saying I've had many incidences before where I have hit the deck. I had one. I probably told the story before, but when I was probably 16. I was going to a summer camp or Boy Scout camp or one of those, and you needed certain vaccinations or whatever updated. And I had like 3 or 4 or something crazy to do, and they had to take blood work. So they did it all. I'm fine. They leave the room, and I'm sitting on one of those doctor's tables, the ones with the paper on them. Yeah, aren't we past the paper at this point, by the way? Like. It just seems like such an old school thing. Like sit on this crusty, cardboardy like paper, and it always moves around. It's always like it's kind of like demeaning. Don't we have like chemicals we can just spray and wipe down the table at this point?
I mean, I guess it's like cost and timing, but yeah, I mean, it sticks to your if you like have any kind of skin showing, and you think about it. There's like if like a person like the last person who came in had something like decent, let's say leprosy or something like that. I don't think that like
something
paper,
decent.
Yeah. I highly doubt that like 1/4 of an inch piece of paper is preventing you from getting what the last person put down on that table right there.
Yeah, and isn't there something kind of like demeaning? I don't know if demoralizing, I guess, about sitting on the paper. It's like, oh. Okay, I will, like when I was going for my ankle visits, I would like stand and sit on the chair that was next to the table, like almost in protest of not wanting to sit on I think that paper is made out of the same paper towels that they had in elementary schools that don't wipe anything up and they just kind of like moved liquid around. There's something demoralizing about like sitting on that crunchy paper. It's like, oh man, like I think it's a hierarchy thing. They're like, I'm the doctor, you're the loser on the paper seat. Like, sit down.
See, this sounds like I've been getting into these YouTube videos of like people who get in confrontations with cops and all. You sound like the guy who's like, I don't have to give you my information. I'm asserting my Fifth Amendment privilege. I know the rules of this doctor's office. And you cannot tell me to sit on that table.
I kind of hate some of those videos because they're just like baiting so hard for attention. Like, it's like if the camera wasn't on, they wouldn't be saying the same things. But I have seen a bunch of those videos that you're talking about. But anyway, so yeah, I was on top of the doctor's table. They leave. All of a sudden, the blinds closed. I fell off the table, hit my head on the concrete floor, woke up with like nurses fanning me, like oh my God, oh my God. Then my dad was with me, and he's terrible with like emergencies or blood or anything like that. So apparently he saw what happened, and he started passing out, and they were like fanning him, and that was like a throwing up concussion, lights bothering me for like 3 days. So that was a tough one. I've had like 3 confirmed concussions, a couple unconfirmed, but.
So basically, the paper on the table did not keep you from your concussion.
Yeah, see, exactly. Useless paper.
Yeah, maybe they should like cover the whole floor with the paper too. So if that ever happens, you're like, oh, I feel good. I feel safe.
Well, it would have been better than the straight concrete or tile that I fell on, because that was not pretty, man. Right? That was I think I definitely have CTE.
The nurse comes running in. Oh, my God, he tore the paper off the table. What do we do?
Fix the table. Fix the table.
I think some of his blood got on the table. Get it out. Get it out.
Get more paper.
They're covering your wound with the same kind of paper.
Dude, that paper is terrible, man. I mean, there's something about it. There's something about it I don't like. I don't like it. But yeah, I'm fine now. So I had it 2 days ago, 3 days ago. I felt good. Worked out today. I felt fine. So, yeah. So when's your second one? Yours is May what?
May 3rd it is. So I guess, and then it takes 2 weeks. So like May 17th, I'm fully out of the clear and all. Have you had discussions with your wife about like, I'm not sure if she's getting the shot, but like once you're all set and all, like big events or doing something?
Well, part of the reason we've talked about starting to get it, I mean, I think she's going to get it, is because we do have some big events coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Wedding for my cousin, wedding for our friend, birthday party for my dad we're planning. So I kind of want to just like be on the safe side. And my concern is not getting COVID. My concern is getting someone else sick. So
yeah. Well, I mean, the shot doesn't prevent that technically.
Yeah, well, in my mind, it does.
Yeah. I make up my own rules as I go along. Mm-hmm. It's fine if I cough on the bride-to-be. It's cool. I got my shots.
That's not your tradition? In
the
Brennan family, we take the bride, we give her the card, say congratulations, like great job, beautiful wedding, you look gorgeous tonight. And they're like, all right, now we're all going to cough on you. And we all get around her and just go, and it's like a very sweet ceremony.
Well, my family's not orthodox like your family,
well,
so that's why we don't do it.
I mean, don't knock it till you try it.
I mean,
and I wasn't able to go to your wedding, so don't think the next time I see you that we won't perform the Brennan coughing ceremony on your wife.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure she'll appreciate it.
Naturally.
I mean, we missed both of our weddings, so Alex can look forward to the same thing in that scenario. So
no, it has to be the Brennans coughing on her. It can't be outside.
No?
Outside coughs, no.
There's a lot of weird rules to your religion, I gotta say.
Well, you know what? It's 2021. Things are fluid. Things are changing. Accept me for who I am.
No? Very nice, very nice. Well, the reason I brought up, like, specific plans, like, I kind of, like, brought up to my wife, we're trying to figure out something to do. I'm like, we used to go to this Chinese buffet that I really liked, and obviously we'd stop because I'm like, oh, why do on that Friday when we go to it? And then she gave me a look like, You want to go to a buffet?
You think
Like,
buffets are like a thing of the past at this point after COVID?
They'll still go. There's enough people who still think it's like hoax stuff or whatever. I mean, certain places don't do buffet style, but they still have like the Golden Corrals, and this place is like a Chinese buffet. Like, she gave me the look like, how can you think of that? And I'm like, well, we got her 2 shots. We shouldn't be able to get sick. So, I mean, what you plan to like boycott buffets for the rest of your life? I was kind of giving her the look. Was it just something so weird? It's like, how on earth can you think of a buffet?
I think I'm more shocked, Mike, that after a year in lockdown and quarantine and all this other stuff, your first thought is, I'm vaccinated. Let's get our asses to the Chinese buffet.
Listen, if those chicken wings are awesome at those Chinese buffets, and all the crunchy ones, and I like my sushi. Well, hey, I can't get sick because I got shots. That's the rule.
That's it.
If anything happens to me, if they say you have lymphoma, no, I don't. I got the shots.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And now you have 5G and that tracker in you. It's pretty good. It's pretty great, you know.
Yeah, I mean, now, like, I don't have to look for a hot spot and all. I can just connect to my arm.
You are a hot spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Well,
I'm working for AT&T now. It's great, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I would say during this whole thing, I've been more like I'm okay going out because I've been pretty careful the whole time. And
well, you just did the polar bear plunge, I saw.
Yeah, but we did it actually. We did it privately. We did it. That was just my family. We did it at a place called Island Beach State Park, and it was actually really cool. We just went to the beach. We had a fire there, and you were able to pull your car up on the beach, and it was pretty cool. So it was just us. It wasn't the 5,000 other people that are normally doing it. So they did it virtual this year, and that whole side of my family is vaccinated. So. It was cool.
Like, how's that work? Do you have to like send them a video that you ran into the water so they can take the charity money? I don't get that.
Listen, that you can send your videos in, but it's basically all a fundraiser anyway. It's the same thing. There were like incentives, and you can raise money to a certain point. Their main concern, they don't care about you going in the water. They want money for their charity. You know.
Well, maybe I'm concerned. Maybe if I gave you like $20 for this event for you to run in the water, I'd be concerned if you didn't send me like physical proof that you dove into the water during the.
Did you send me $20?
Well, that's besides the point. I don't know what kind of diseases are coming in 2022, so I have to plan ahead. If I'm providing you funds for this.
Oh, so you would not send $20 to a charity that needed it, Mike, because you were skeptical of my actual plunge.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe you went to a heated ocean. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how parts of New Jersey work anymore. I've been gone for 3 years.
A heated ocean. Is this another idea of yours? Michael Barlow's heated oceans. Very environmentally friendly.
Well, there's only 5 oceans out there, so I'd have the most popular ocean. I'd be the 6th one out there, there'd be a bunch of vibes, and I would kick ass over the Indian Ocean. Everybody knows that.
Sure it wouldn't cost much to heat an ocean.
No, I mean, like, I got a son, so that's going to help me out.
I mean, I'm sure you could figure out how to use those dehumidifiers running at the same time to kind of heat the ocean.
Well, yeah, I mean, when we have the excess, like, if we don't sell any in a night, we just put it into, like, a pan, heat it up, and throw it into my ocean.
This show has reached new levels of stupidity tonight. I mean, every week we do top ourselves, not in entertainment, not in, like, quality of show, but we top ourselves in. We've known each other too long that we are just so stupid at this point.
It's pretty on point. We pretty much know if one of us says something stupid, the other one's like, well, I got to add on to this stupid. And like, none of us go, well, that's just silly. Let's change the subject. It's like, no, we're doubling down on this.
Speaking of stupid, remember last week or the week before, I brought up a hippie friend of ours, not a friend, that joined the Sisters of the Moon.
I believe you sent me a text with their article on it. Yes.
Yeah. Remember I was showing you some more in-depth features to Sisters of the Moon?
Uh-huh.
So a week ago or so, I sent someone, Mike, we talked about a thing, a person I know that is like mega hippie, and I called her the boyfriend chameleon, but now they have the Sisters of the Moon, and they pray and dance, and I wanted to read you one of the latest posts from said Sisters of the Moon.
Side note, boyfriend chameleon is going to be the next villain in the next MCU movie.
So boring.
Well, that's why they gave it to Black Widow. It's like, it's fine. Nobody's going to the theaters right now, so.
All right, Mike, before we go, I want to share this one with you. The things I'm learning about myself as I step into the flow of the divine feminine is that there is no room for smallness. There's no trickle to my flow. At first, it felt uncomfortable and vulnerable to share openly, even with my sacred sisters, until I opened the tap, letting the flow of my voice, my truths, my experiences out. Then my voice, my soul started to sing out loud and true. Now it feels uncomfortable to not share, to hold back my flow from the world at large. Yesterday, I shared a deeply personal experience in our private sisterhood group. And of course, I was received with love, honoring, with support, and solidarity. And that's what I needed in that moment, to be held with love as I contracted into myself, my body, and my emotions. But today, I'm ready to expand. My voice does not only exist when it's safe to sing, it exists always. Men and women and those who haven't promised to hold me sacred and safe, I'm ready to also let you see me, hear me, and feel me, to witness my flow and invite you to honor the cycles and phases in your own lives as well, to flow with creation. So here it goes. I'm going to share something about something deeply personal. It's something that society tells us not to talk about, or at least only among a close friend or two. The womb. Today, after 15 months, my moon cycle returned. This weekend, I felt depleted, sensitive, sad, elated, all of it. When I woke up and discovered my womb had released blood for the first time in many moons, it all made sense. Okay. So here's a girl commenting about her period, basically.
Yep, her monthly.
There was deep gratitude and reverence for the gift and sacrifice of womanhood, the possibility of new life, the cleansing and renewing after loss, and the innate ability of our body to flow back and forth between the cycles of the moon and the phases of womanhood. There was also some fear around my expansion, phases growing larger, more public and more real, allowing others to see my dreams, my passion, my mission to create the sacred sisterhood. The vulnerability around trusting others as to hold my vision as sacred as I hold it. I'll skip ahead.
All right.
Here's where it gets real wild. The exhaustion, the grief, the desire to hide, to protect, and to seek solace. The feelings of loss coupled with the feeling of rebirth, newness, cleansing. I took the day as a personal retreat. I moved slowly, tenderly. I rested. I played. I honored. I cried. I cleansed. I shed. I raged. I danced. I sang. I wrote. And I cried some more. And I welcomed her back into my life. The return of my blood, my moon. I celebrated my womb today by honoring her with a womb-clearing ritual. I massaged her and thanked her for holding my two beautiful babies. I thanked her for offering me life and death and rebirth beyond my perfectly in sync and in tune with the phases of the moon and the turn of the tides, for connecting me to the nature, the sky, the sun, the moon, the stars, and the great beyond. I thanked her for holding me. I destroyed and created and birthed myself anew. I sat outside in my backyard for a while, allowing myself to bleed freely into the earth, to offer back to her all that she has given me, the water from my tears, the blood of my womb, the hair on my body that has protected me, kept me safe and warm, and offered me comfort. Now, there's more, but I'm going to stop there. Now, Mike, there's that post. Could you guess what the video she posted along with it was?
Probably like her husband going, "Hey, get out of my mulch with your cycle." Like as she's
Not my begonias, no!
I am not eating those cucumbers now. I do not care how great they grow.
So, with all that being said, she posts a video of herself shaving her legs. Her big, hairy legs.
I'm a person, I'm kind of like, what you want to put up, you want to put up. I'm not going to comment in front to you, but I'll have my opinion. From that, like, the first half was just, if you hired somebody at Hallmark to say, make me the most generic inspirational card, that was like the first paragraph of what you just read me. Just general thanking the earth and feelings and moon and stuff like that. Number two, as you were going along with this, I had to Google it, and apparently there's a myth of moon phases and menstruations. As they basically said, the lunar and menstrual cycles will correlate more or less for some people, depending how closely their average length are. And the lunar cycle and the average menstrual cycle are basically equal in length. They apparently had like a whole study about it where like a doctor had to quote on this, which that must have been the most exciting job on the planet. And so I'm looking at this girl having her period, and I'm looking at the calendar to see if it's a half moon tonight. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all for, women's power and stuff like that.
Of course.
If you want to talk about your menstrual cycles and your shaving, so be it. Probably certain times it'd be like, I'm kind of eating dinner. Please wait until we're like having after dinner drinks or something like that. But it's good for you. But in the end, I'm looking back on, whatever.
It's just so
I can't
needy,
wait for your
man.
next phase of your life.
It's just so needy. It's like you're not doing anything. You're sitting there talking about your period for 7, 8, 9 paragraphs. There's no. What are you doing? You're not. This. What is your life's calling? You're sitting there saying how we danced, we moved, we danced, we put our feet in the dirt, we jived, we raged. Like, what is this? Like, I feel like it's like there must be some author they're following, and they're just mimicking the way that author wrote because it's the same kind of thing every single time.
Like, I've never heard of like some tribal thing or womanhood thing to have your period flow into the earth. I mean, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I just feel bad for the neighbor looking in their backyard and they don't have a big enough fence.
Especially if they had the for sale sign on their house and they're, oh God.
God. Why did we have the open house today? I told you, do not show the house during full moons for a very specific reason.
Yeah. I mean, I think you should go up to your wife and be like, we've been trying to save money lately for our recent Disney trip. How about instead of tampons, you go out to the tomato plant in the backyard once a month for a week?
That could be put into a book, and that could be the 12th business, Scott.
Burlow's period plants. Jesus Christ. It's time to go. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Too many businesses I got to take care of tonight, people. Sorry.
Oh, God. Guys, there's a lot of been fun. I just said this is a lot of been fun. This has been a lot of fun. Hopefully for you as much as it was for us. But if not, well, we'll be here next week anyway. So, Burlow, anything to promote before we get on out of here?
I'm going to promote the site streetartmap.org. The reason I'm promoting it is it has a map of all of the murals that goes around in Atlanta. Me and my wife are going to be going into the city and checking out some of the murals. As some of you may know, there's a beautiful George Floyd mural in town Evergreen in Atlanta. We went to Halfway Crooks. There was a big mural of Hank Aaron as he passed away this year. So this site, streetartmap.org, will kind of give you a tour of all the murals that are around all the Atlanta, Georgia area. And it's really some amazing work by some great artists. So check it out.
Cool, man. That sounds awesome. I will promote once again because comedy is returning, at least in my life. And now have 3 Verbal Shenanigans comedy shows in 3 different locations coming up in the next 2 months or so. So real quick, here we go. May 20th at Tap House 15, $45 a person. It's a prefix menu plus the show with headliner Mike Burton and my good pals KP Burke and Mike Sicoli. 2 days after that, Indian Lake, right where I live. We got headliner Buddy Fitzpatrick. We got Bobby Gaines and Sean Morton and Lynette Palladino. If you contact me, I can get you into that. $25 outside, socially distant, all that stuff. It's a really, really good time. And then we picked up another one on June 18th over at Rock Ridge Community Club in Denville, New Jersey. We are doing another show with headliner Mike Burton and the lineup. Matt Jenkins and my pal, my wedding officiant and all around great gal Jackie Byrne, coming out of motherhood retirement, if you will, to come do some comedy for us. So please check out Verbal Shenanigans on Instagram. All that information will be up there. Guys, we're on a whole bunch of different platforms, so please, whatever one you like, if you can, take that time to leave a review, whether it's Google Play, BS Podcast Network, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, the Apple Podcast app. We're all over the place. And that's it, guys. I want to thank Joe Bob Briggs. Life is funny. Laugh at it. Keep the wind at your back.
Stay tuned. Next week, I'll be in the attic.
And next week, I'll have my moon cycle.